I used to wear bulky guards that slip down every game. These stay in place the whole time.
These shin pads are stretchy, durable, definitely not be ripping anytime soon.
Switch the goat sleeves now. They don't slip, they don't slide, nice and snug, nice and tight.
It's crazy how light these things are. I've worn a lot of old school pads in my time, and these are featherweight and super comfortable.
Legend begins where heroes
Why are you still wearing those old clunky shin pads when you could be wearing these?
I used to struggle with shin guards sliding all game. These are a game changer. Put them on, you don't even notice them. They're comfortable, keep you going until finish.
It shows how fast you move on the pitch because it's stuck to the shin bone and does not slip and slide all around the shin.
No distractions, no readjusting, just focus on the match. What I like about these is you can wear them all day. Training, recovery, travel, they never lose shape. The material is soft and supportive. It's the perfect mix of comfort and performance. These guards are so lightweight, you forget they're even there. These guards are so lightweight, you forget they're even there, but they still give solid protection. It's like full freedom to play a game without that clunky feeling. Training, recovery, travel, they never lose shape. What I like about these is you can wear them all day. Training, recovery, travel, they never lose shape. The material is soft and supportive. It's the perfect mix of comfort and performance. The first thing I notice is that these guards don't move. Once they're in place, they stay there. I can tackle, sprint, or slide without adjusting them. You feel secure and locked in. My first impressions of the GOATS guards, honestly, super light and super clean. Straight away, you can tell they're built to move with you. No bulk, just sleek protection that actually feels pro. These guards don't move. The first thing I notice is that these guards don't move. Once they're in place, they stay there. I can tackle, sprint, or slide without adjusting them. You feel secure and locked in. No bulk, just sleek protection that actually feels pro. My first impressions of the GOATS guards, honestly, super light and super clean. Straight away, you can tell they're built to move with you. No bulk, just sleek protection that actually feels pro. These grips actually help you push off. It's like every bit of power goes straight to the ground. No slip, no wasted energy. You feel sharper, quicker, and more connected. It's a proper level up. I can't believe my GOATS pack has arrived. My first impression of the GOATS grips, honestly, clean design and a premium feel. Straight out of the pack, you can tell they're built different. Soft stretch and solid grip panels. They just feel like performance gear, not regular socks. These grips actually help you push off. These grips actually help you push off. It's like every bit of power goes straight to the ground. No slip, no wasted energy. You feel sharper, quicker, and more connected. It's a proper level up.
Hi everyone, happy Saturday. Welcome to our live coaching call. We're on a slightly different time now on a Saturday, just so we can accommodate everyone around the world as we're getting busier with callers. We're super pumped to bring to you 2 more live coaching calls where we're going to take you through 2 topics. We're going to be working again at a Premier League club this morning, which is super exciting, and we're going to walk you through 2 sessions. Again, as ever, if you are not subscribed to our YouTube, you need to be a subscriber so you can ask us questions and I'll answer them live on air. So whether it's about how to make it as a pro football or soccer player, anything about the topics that I'm covering, or maybe it's just another related, maybe you're a coach, a volunteer coach, a parent coach, maybe you're a technical director, anything you want to ask, you can ask during this live call. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump straight into our screen and we're going to showcase to you what we're going to cover this morning. So I will bring up this next part for you guys. I'm adjust it. Now remember, if you want to find where all of the sessions are, if we go into Classroom, we go into section 10, the dugout. And when we're in the dugout, we've got 2 Premier League sections in here. We've got Premier League sessions. This is where all of our Premier League sessions are being recorded and are stored for you. But then the big one that we're working through at the moment is the coach-to-coach sessions. And we're working through all of them different topics. So the next one that we're going to be working on today, and I'll just have a little check through which one we're up to. We are up to finding space in midfield, and this was again a session at Fulham Football Club in the UK in London. And for most of you, you'll be aware, Fulham are a Premier League team, okay? And we are just about to just double check that we got this right one. So what I'll do is I will play this short video. I want you to make some notes on this particular session if there's anything you want to ask, and then what I will do is I will walk us through the session, and I'm going to take you through if you are playing or if you're working or coaching or you're a player yourself. We'll work it from that under 7, under 8, under 9 age group. We're a real simplified session, and then what we will do is we will build it up all the way up to a really high level, as if you're playing semi-pro or open men's or women's, even at like that Premier League level, and some of the variances that we could add in on that particular session. So if you don't have one, guys, grab yourselves a pen, piece of paper, get your device to make some notes on, lock yourselves in. If you want to go and grab a quick drink, you've got about 30 seconds until we start, and then we are going to be taking you through finding space in midfield. Now, if you watched our last session, it is a little bit of a follow-on from the last session that we've done, and we're just going to go into a little bit more detail. So enjoy this short video. You'll now notice in the progression to this older session, we've got reds versus yellows, and then you'll notice that we've actually got one player in a blue bib just here. Now, the way this game's set up, it's to give an overload of one extra player. So what we'll do is we start with possession, and we start with, currently reds are on possession, and they're playing the ball reds to reds, but if they want to try and get out, they've got to try and find the ball into the blue player as the overload player. Now, if the yellows win possession, again, the focus is on transition, and we're looking for the yellows then to try and feed the blue player to get a point. So the idea is, can we get an overload? Can we build up possession? And can we focus on that transition? Again, with your diameters on this session, you can set it up for a 10 by 10, a 20 by 20. It's always good to start with a big space and then smaller the space to make it harder for the players. But again, we're looking, can we get the ball out into this blue player? And can we get the ball into her feet or his feet? And then away we go. So again, it's all around transition, possession, and we've got one player as an overload player. Good luck. Okay, so that was a little bit of a short explainer on that one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to now spend the next 10 to 15 minutes going into detail a little bit more for you guys and help you understand it as a coach and how you could integrate this one based on the different age groups that you're working with. So if you just bear with me for a few seconds and I'll just load up my screen. Okay, so finding space in midfield. So what I will do is I will just set it up. It was slightly set up on a different angle, but I'll just give you a bit of an idea. So we had them, what we call the mannequins were on the sides here. Now these mannequins in this game now were actually not being used, but I'm just going to just put them in just so you see it for the setup. Then we had two teams. We had Reds versus yellows, and again, it doesn't matter what colour bibs you've got, whatever you can do to make it work, that will work, okay? And then we had a floating player, and the floating player was in blue. Now, I'm going to show you this based on a younger age group, and the way I would set this up for the younger age group to ensure you get a lot more success. If we're going to imagine we've got, let's say, 3 reds, and then we'll have 3 yellows, and then we'd have our blue, which is hopefully, because we're working on finding space in midfield, we want the blue to be a little bit more central. Now the video that I showed you, it wasn't the best of examples, but what you won't see is about 1 minute later, the coach corrects the blue player to be holding position more in and around the central area of the area that you set up. Now when you set this up with a younger age group, you don't want the space to be too big, but also you don't want it to be sort of too small and tight. We want to see a little bit of success going on in there. My advice in here would be probably set it to something like, if you've got the space, 15 by 20 meters. So there is a little bit of sort of distance in here. So that would be your 20 meters. And then this section here would be your 15 meters, okay? So that would be my advice, to set it up a little bit within that diameter, okay? Now, what we need to make sure is, and I'm just gonna now show you how we set this up. So, we'll leave our blue player in the middle. And what we're gonna do is, for this particular game, we're gonna say that we've got a yellow there, and we've got a red there. So that obviously tells you that reds are shooting up this way, and yellows are shooting this way, and I'll explain how we're going to set this one up for the younger age group. So if we put in our other 3 yellows, so give us 4, and then we'll put in a couple of reds. Okay, now what we're looking for is, when the yellows are on the ball, they're trying to get the ball to the blue player, and then once they've played the ball to the blue player, then they can get the ball back. And then if they get it to this player in here, that counts as 1 point. Okay, now what we say to our younger players, especially the 8s, 9s and 10s, if you can't get it into the blue, we want you to build up possession, and we want you to be patient. Now, some coaches wouldn't take this on with younger age groups, and they think it's going to break down too much, it's going to be too hard. Don't underestimate your playing group. They'll actually surprise you, okay? So what my recommendation in here would be is, when you set it up, if yellows are in possession, you can just say to them, play possession. You can get the ball into this player still, but it doesn't count as a goal until you've successfully got it to the blue. Then the blue has got to give it back to one of these outside yellow players before they can then play the pass into the player on the outside, and that would count as a goal. So that is a great way you could set that up for the younger age groups. Now, the next question I'm going to answer, because I can see a lot of you are saying, look, my boys or girls are only very, very basic level. They're not going to be able to cope with this. Well, what we can do is we can add in a rule. And the rule you can add in is that the team in BP, and if anyone doesn't know what BP is, it just basically means ball possession. So the team that's in possession can't be tackled. Now you might say, well, that's not really fun, it's not really like a game. Well, it is, because what we can say is if the yellows are in possession, okay, they can't be tackled, but the teams in red can actually force mistakes. They can try and force mistakes by forcing the yellow team to make a mistake by adding pressure. Can they intercept a ball? So let's imagine we'll put our red player here and the yellow team's got the ball here. As this ball's travelling, this red player can intercept to get the ball. So they're not tackling, but it's giving the team in yellow a little bit more of a chance to try and build up that possession. So, team in ball possession can't be tackled. That is a great way of actually just pulling it back to a really, really, really simple level, okay? The other way you can do this, and this is the final one with the younger age groups, and I absolutely love this one. This was one of my favourite ones, and one of my favourite ways of doing this game. You can actually have 2 balls in play. Okay, 1 ball for the yellow team, 1 ball for the red team. And what you do is you basically give them a timer. So the timer might be 45 seconds on the clock. And to score a goal, they've got to build up possession. They've got to get the ball into the blue player. The blue player's got to get it back out. And then they've got to pass the ball to a player on the outside. Now, what I would recommend you do with these players here and here, I would make these blue players as well, which means both teams can score either side, but they can only score once they get it into this player in the middle and then they receive it back. So it's got to be sent into this player and then sent back to a player within the middle before this player can then play it in there. Now, the idea of 2 balls is there's no tackling going on, there's no pressure, so you're going to get a lot more success with passing, and you're going to get a lot more success with then actually scoring a goal and getting it to the outside player. So, as you've seen in there, if we're talking about an age group of, let's say, 8 to 12s, the way I've set it up and structured it from the beginning to the end, you've seen the different levels and the way we can pull it back, where we've stripped it all the way down where there's no tackling and both teams have got a ball. Then we step it back up a level again where teams can't be tackled and you've got 1 ball and players can only intercept. Or if your players are then really getting success with it, you can then strip the tackling rule out and go to fully normal rules. So there's about 3 or 4 levels in there for 8 to 12s that you can work on. So hopefully you guys are understanding that and you can see the benefit of that one in there. So that's a great way of scaling it up or scaling it back down. Now, what I will do is, and I'm just going to very quickly just take all this out, and what I want you to do is, if you're watching this on the live or even on a recording, drop a comment in the school community or on YouTube for us and let me know what you think about this session. Have you done this session before? And what are some of the variances that you guys have possibly done in the past as well? Now, what I am going to do now is I'm just going to strip this one all the way back out and I'm going to just set it back up for an older age group. And what we're going to do is we're going to just make this one obviously a little bit bigger for our older age group. So what we're going to do now is we'll have it a little bit longer. Okay. Now, recommendation with the older age groups would be something like 30 by 20 meters, okay? And this would be obviously our 30 meter section, and then the sides would be our 20, okay? Now, what we would look to do is in here again, we would look for our floating player in here. Now, one of the big things we want to focus on, let's imagine we're working with a men's or a women's opens group or an under 20s group, a really high level. We want to focus on speed. And what I would encourage is you have 3 blue players, and we want this to alternate. So we want teams to be able to transition from one side to the other, but the rule still stands. They've got to get it into this player in the middle before they can score either side, okay? Now, how do we add speed into this as an older age group? If you've got any ideas, drop it in the comments. But how can we ensure that this session moves really, really fast and the ball transitions? So if you think you know how we can make this fast and speedy, I'm going to show you a couple of ways we can do it. So as ever, if you're the coach and you're there, we want all of the balls lined up in here. So then that way, as soon as a ball goes out of play, okay, the coach is feeding that ball straight in to a player, okay? Now, what we'd have is in here, let's say we've got, just for this example, we might have 4 yellows and we've got 4 reds. So it's starting to look a little bit busy in there. And this particular red's call for the ball, okay? So how we can achieve speed, the coach has got all the balls ready to go. Communication is key. So players don't get the ball off the coach unless they ask for the ball, okay? Then the next thing that we can look to speed up this as well is we can limit the amount of touches. Now, depending on your group, if you're working with a really advanced, a professional team or semi-pro even, I would definitely say all of the blue players, so this player, the middle player and this player, all play on a maximum of 3 touches, because we want to give them a couple of touches so they can set up the play. And then you might restrict the yellows and reds to 1 and 2. Now, the great thing that you can do to really step this up another level as well is if you find that you've got a red team who are dominating and they're winning 6-1 and that's how the game's going, stop them, give them a quick drinks break and then go, right, for the next 60 seconds, reds, you're on 1 touch only. Yellows, you've got 2 touches. And it's a great way that you don't have to start pulling players off, swapping the teams around, trying to balance the teams, because in a game of football, sometimes it doesn't get balanced in a game and a game will go a certain way. But what you can do is, as a coach, you can communicate it to the team really quickly. Reds, you're on 1 touch for the next minute. Yellows, you're on 2 touches maximum. Reds, if you break the rule, every time you take more than 1 touch, we're going to give a goal to the yellows. So it's a fun way as a coach. You can balance the scoreline out to get it up to 6-all, 7-all, 8-all, and then finish with that finale, next goal the winner. And it's a great way of improving these 2 things. And I always get asked, Ray, how do you improve this in a player? Players just can't be this way all the time. They can, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. One of the questions I always get asked is, how do you improve motivation in a player? Okay, how you improve motivation in a player is by making the game fun. Even at the older age groups, this is one of the big things that I learned when I worked at Leicester City, clubs like PSG, Liverpool. Motivate them. How can you motivate them? Well, if a team's losing 7-1 in training, they're not motivated to go all in for the last 5 minutes. If you can somehow balance the score to get it close to 7-6, 6-all, 8-all, okay, and you can do that by implementing conditions, okay? So think of how you can scale it up and scale it down. So that's a great way of how we can actually take that particular session from 8 to 12s all the way up. Now, depending on your type of players you've got, but I don't see a reason why in that last session I showcased you with the younger age group, you could probably take that all the way up to 13s and 14s with the progressions. If you've got a really advanced group of girls who are 15, 16, or boys, there's no reason why this one couldn't be done with players that are 14 plus. Okay, and again, you can scale it up and scale it down, and think about the amount of touches you'd allow them to have. Think about motivation and conditions. Now, before I finish off on this one, I'm going to give you one last one. This is a great one. What you can now do is, with this particular one, you can actually then transition it back to having a yellow here and having a red here. And it is more like a game then, because obviously the reds, I'll just get rid of these arrows just to give us a bit of space in here. But let's say we're focusing on the reds. We know because the red has got a player here, the reds are shooting this way to score a goal effectively, okay? So what we can then do is to transition this up another level, and this is a game changer. Move. And what do I mean by move? So I'll give you an example. Let's say this player plays it into blue here. Blue plays it back out to red. This red can now score. As this red plays it in here, what we now force this red player to do is dribble out with the ball and look for the pass. This player who originally played the ball has now got to follow his or her pass, and they become this red player in here. So what it's doing is the rotating, and this is all about rotation in the midfield. Now, I don't want you to get caught up with this one if you're coaching 12-year-olds who only train once a week. It's not going to work, okay? But if you're looking for that next level to take it up to the real top level, this is a great way you can take this up to the top level. Would this be used at Premier League level? 100%. These are the type of sessions that the men's or women's in the WSL or the Premier League, the EPL are doing. So my advice would be, if you're looking to scale it up to a next level, this is a great way you can scale it up. Now, the beauty about these videos, guys, you can watch these back, you can pause them, you can rewind it back, and you can actually take out the snippets that you want. But one of the big things I will say is, especially with the younger age groups, especially with those sort of 7 to 13 age groups, don't confuse it, but also don't underestimate them. Don't think you've got to start right at the beginning where they've got one ball for each team, okay? I'd rather you start at 2 or 3 levels up where struggle's happening, and then if it's struggling to the point where there's no success and the session looks awful, then pull it back a level. And this is a great way you can do it, okay? But don't underestimate your players. They will surprise you. Okay, what we're going to do is very quickly, I'm just going to drop back into my live screen here. We are going to go to a very quick short ad break. And when I come back, we're going to bring you our next session, again, live from Fulham Football Club. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, drop it in the comments on YouTube if you're watching it live. If you are watching it on the recording, drop a community post in for me and tell me some of the things you enjoyed, some of the things you're struggling with. Maybe you've watched this recording, you've tried it and you're having no success with it. Drop it in the community for me and I'd love to help you by doing a video to help you fix the problem.
You don't bunch up, you don't get sweaty. Simple as that.
One of the things I noticed about my Goats grip socks is the grip runs across the whole panel, so there's no bunching or sliding in your boots.
These grip pads will help you not slip when you're going in for a tackle.
My old socks will get sweaty halfway through the game. Not with Goats grips, they stay cool and dry from start to finish.
These guards are so lightweight, you forget they're even there, but they still give solid protection. It's like full freedom to play a game without that clunky feeling. I used to wear bulky guards that slip down every game. These stay in place the whole time.
These shin pads are stretchy, durable, definitely not be ripping anytime soon.
Switch the Goat sleeves now. They don't slip, they don't slide. Nice and snug, nice and tight.
It's crazy how light these things are. I've worn a lot of old school pads in my time. In these, a featherweight and super comfortable.
Legend begins where heroes end.
Everyone, welcome back. So we're going to get straight back into our next screen and we want to keep flowing. We're going on a really good one. And I think there's a potential we could do a third session on this one today as well. So we might have to get to have a look at another session at one of our other Premier League clubs. So what we'll do is we'll come back across on here. And we're going to have a little look at this next one. Again, this is our Fulham Football Club, again, in the Premier League. We're going to be having a little look at different learning styles, and you're going to have a little sort of an inside look of what some of the coaches are doing in the Premier League in England. I'll play this short video for you, and then I'll do a little bit of a whiteboard session for us all, and it'll give you guys an opportunity to work through and see what you guys think about it. I'll play this short video for you. Again, as ever, pens and paper at the ready, get your devices out. Even if you're watching this on a recording, please make some notes on this as you're watching it. Even if you have to stop it halfway through or stop it a couple of times, make sure you're making some good notes, and you'll see why at the end why it's important to write a few notes. Now, one of the big things that was implemented by the EPPP and the Premier League over 15 years ago in England was different learning styles and understanding that players learn in many different ways. Now, what you can't see at the moment, because the coach has got his back to us, but he's got what's called a visual display board. So for those boys and girls who are visual learners, he's actually doing a demonstration on the pitch to actually showcase to them what he's actually looking for. Now, we also discovered in the Premier League that auditory learners are the guys who only learn through listening, through auditory instructions. What we discovered is the 4 or 5 different learning styles. You've got to make sure you accommodate this for your players in your sessions. There's no excuses for it now. And again, this is one of the things that we've got to get better at, not only in places like the USA and Canada, but also in Australia and New Zealand. So it's really, really important for the players to be given the opportunity to understand the layout of the session, what's expected of them, and also to outline the goals and the outcomes. Now, we're always looking for player-driven objectives within our sessions in England and in the Premier League, and this is currently what the coach is speaking to the players about. He's looking for them to have fun, he's looking for them to develop, but you can see the hands going up. He's actually asking questions. So one of the big parts that we added into the Premier League 15 years ago as well is Q&A. And rather than actually telling the players what you're looking for, it's through Q&A is to actually try and drive out some of the outcomes that we're looking for. And what we discover by doing QA within the sessions, it actually finds that the players are more motivated and they take responsibility within the session. So again, guys, one of the big key things that we're working on here with the younger players of Fulham in the Premier League is different learning styles. Players learn through auditory, through visual, through kinesthetic. There's many different learning styles, and you've got to make sure you implement it within your session. And you can see the sessions being stopped here for at least 4 to 5 minutes, because the coach, it's really important that he gets them outcomes and the players feel super involved in the session. You'll notice now they've gone from being on this small 2v2 pitch that we were looking at before. They've now gone on to a little bit more of a 6v6 and a 7v7 pitch. And we'll have a little look at this session as it rolls out over the next couple of minutes. Okay, that was another little short and sharp session within Fulham. And it's really important that we touch on the different learning styles, because this is not just done at Fulham Football Club. What we discovered was in the Premier League, when I worked on the EPPP project, it was all around education was paramount, and we actually realised that it was so important that we actually brought education and academia into the sessions and the planning of sessions, because what we discovered was you're doing a disservice to your players, and also you're doing a disservice to your club, because let's give you an example. Let's say we've got a player called Johnny and Sarah. Johnny is visual, Sarah is auditory. Can you imagine if we never ever put a visual or a whiteboard out? That would mean by the end of a season or two, we'd probably think that little Johnny isn't that good and we'd release him as a player. And it's really important that you make sure you cover yourself as a coach. Now, what I am going to do is I'm going to walk you through some of the different learning styles very quickly over the next 4 to 5 minutes, just to trigger your sort of thought process. And I want you to reflect as a coach whether you're a parent coach, a volunteer coach, a very highly paid coach, do you actually really cover all of these different learning styles, and do you integrate them? Now, I'm already listening and hearing people saying as they're watching this, but I don't need this because I coach a men's team. Well, I'm sorry, you do. It doesn't matter whether you're coaching under-8 community kickers who are training once a week and play one game and they only play for 4 months of the year, or you're coaching Fulham Football Club men's team in the Premier League. You need to make sure. Now, the obvious ones are visual. So some of the things that we would do in visual, and I won't give you all of them, but I'll just give you a way of teaching visual players. You could do videos. You could do a whiteboard session. You could do charts with results on. So that's just to trigger some ideas of what visual is, okay? When we're thinking about things like auditory, okay, we've got to think about things like, it's not just, and I want to make this clear, auditory is not just the coach talking, okay? Auditory is actually trying to drive questions out and answers out, from players. So auditory would be discussions, is a good way to call it. Another thing in there would be you reading out loud some instructions. And another good one I'd probably say is things like podcasts. So there's no excuse now as a coach why you couldn't recommend a podcast to your playing group to watch, okay, on how to play in wide areas. Like, there's loads of really good podcasts. And again, would you give this to 12 and 13 year olds? Yeah, why not? Even if you've got a group of players and they only train once a week with you and play one game of a weekend, but you'd really love to get more access to them, well, this is a great way you can access them more, is by giving them resources to work on during the week. You listen and find a good podcast, find a good YouTube video for them to listen to rather than watching, okay? The next one that we've got is verbal. Okay, and when we think about verbal, you could be recommending them to read books, and it could be even your session planners. Okay, the next one, and this is a great one. So we've got a type of learner, which is what we call, and it's kinesthetic. Now, with kinesthetic learners, they're players that basically learn through movement and doing, okay? So it would be things like physical. So it might be you saying to your playing group, you're working with your centre back, okay, Sarah, I need you, next time we play that ball in, I need you to step up and run forwards 10 metres, and I need you to call out your teammates. But it's that physical activity, okay? Also, it might be trying different, what we call experiments. So challenging your players. This is a great way for kinesthetic learners. Now, you're probably wondering, how do I know what type of learners my players are? There's actually a couple of tests online, and you can actually send this out to your parent group or to your playing group and ask them to complete it. And it's going to give you an idea. Now, the problem is, I can see some of you are thinking, there's no way. I've got 4 visual learners, 3 auditory learners, 2 verbal, 1 kinesthetic. What you need to do is you need to work out a percentage, okay, of what you've got in your playing group. And then on that percentage, try and make sure you cover and aim it towards your higher percentages. So then at least you know you're having a good spread of the different types of learning styles. Now, one of the other ones I'll cover, and this is a good one, and this is a logical learner. And when we say about logical learner, these players love to problem solve. Also, they are very good with systems, and probably one of the big things, and I'll explain why it's important in football, is numbers, okay? Now, I think if some of you are to build your ideal player, you'd want your player to have most of these, but it's not always going to be the way. But I want you to start thinking outside the box, and I think it's important that you understand the type of player you've got. Now, if you were to pick one of these, which would you say, if you were to have a superpower and you were to give a superpower to your player, but if our player, as an example, is a central midfielder, what superpower would you want them to have out of those 5? And I'll give you a couple of seconds now. If you're watching this on the live, you can drop it in the chat. If you're watching it on a recording, drop a post in the community and tell me different learning styles. Put in the superpower you would give that player, and it's for the central midfielder. Now, for me personally, the best trait you could have for me for the central midfielder would be this one. Logical. Because they can problem solve, they can fix and set up systems, and they're good with numbers. And when I'm talking about numbers, I'm talking about overloads. They'll see things before other players see it on the pitch, and they can think 2 to 3 moves ahead in their problem solving. So that's all about reading the game, or as we called it in the UK and in the Premier League, GI, or game intelligence. You want, without a shadow of a doubt, your central midfielder to have game intelligence, and you want their superpower to be logical, to be able to problem solve, look at systems, look at numbers, and see things before it happens on the pitch. How many central midfielders have you seen who have just got a canny knack of being able to just read the game, read where the ball is? It's unbelievable to see. So I'm hoping that this has given you a little bit of an idea of the importance of learning styles. Now, as you've seen on the video at Fulham Football Club, you would have noticed that he had the whiteboard out and he was aiming it all towards visual. Now, the chances are 90 to 95% of your players are visual. But this is where it got really interested. We had a coach who had the whiteboard out, and when we looked at the players, when we had the same playing group, if the whiteboard session was out for 60 seconds or less, we found that about 95% were 100% visual. If the board was out for 2 minutes or longer, it dropped to about 75%. So what does this teach us? As a coach, we need to make sure we know clearly in our head what it is we want to show the players and what we want to drive out from that playing group. So don't talk too much, okay? If you can't nail it in 60 seconds, then it's not worth saying. Just let the players carry on with what's happening on the pitch. And also, you've got to think about that top level. Once you're coaching in that Premier League level standard or senior men's or women's professional semi-pro, if you've got half time, you've only got 15 minutes. By the time players walk off the pitch, there's a minute gone. By the time they run to the bathroom and the toilet and get a drink, there's 4 to 5 minutes gone. By the time they see the physio and get any little niggles or get any little rubs or anything before they head back out, then you've got to count it in 1 minute to get back out on the pitch. So you're lucky as a coach if you get your playing group for 3 to 4 minutes. So it's important as a coach, working with even the younger age groups and community-based players. If you've got aspirations to one day make it as a Premier League coach or a La Liga coach or coach in the MLS, you need to get really good on how you as a coach can identify your players' learning styles, but also how you can get your team talk done in 60 to 90 seconds, and then hopefully give your players a chance to give you a little bit of feedback in that auditory section, okay? Now, learning styles to finish off, is this something that we only do on game days? No, it happens during training. It happens off the pitch. I want you to be really challenging yourself if you work with any sort of playing group, okay? whether it's the under-8 Joshies Giants from Newcastle, who are a community-based team, or if you're working with Barcelona B team, okay? I want you to really, really start to think about those sorts of areas. Now, what I am going to do is, I'm going to drop back in here, and I'm just going to have a quick look, because I think as well, if I just search within the community, we've got a couple of guides. So if you type in learning styles within our classroom here, and if you have a little look in the community, you will see that we've got a post on here, and it's learning styles, and we also talk a little bit about Zone 14. So if you want a little bit more information on our school platform, if you just go into our search bar at the top, and then if you click on the community tab, there is a post from the 22nd of January, which will give you a little bit more information on the learning styles and something called Zone 14, but I won't go into that one at the moment. We're just specifically speaking about Zone 14. So hopefully you enjoyed that one. Now what we are going to do is we're going to drop back out, and when we come back after this short ad break, we are going to do one more final session for us, and we're going to get through that as quick as we can. And again, we're going to start it from those younger age groups all the way up to those older age groups. I'm just going to leave you with this short ad break for 1 minute. I'm going to come back. We'll finish off with our last session for the day.
You don't bunch up, you don't get sweaty. Simple as that.
One of the things I noticed about my Goats Grip socks is the grip runs across the whole panel, so there's no bunching or sliding in your boots.
These grip pads will help you not slip when you're going in for a tackle.
My old socks will get sweaty halfway through the game. Not with Goats Grips, they stay cool and dry from start to finish.
These guards are so lightweight, you forget they're even there, but they still give solid protection. It's like full freedom to play a game without that clunky feeling.
Hi everyone, welcome back. So we're going to get straight into it. We are going to go straight to Fulham Football Club in the Premier League, and we're going to finish off with our final session for today. I hope you're enjoying this live call. If you're watching it on a recording, again as ever, drop us some posts within the school community and tell us if you liked it, some of the things you got, some of the things you struggled with. Maybe you don't understand the methodologies. Maybe you've got an under-9s team you don't think you could even use this with. Drop it in the community. You'd be surprised once I post a video back to you how you can integrate this into your playing group. So we're going to be having a little look at attacking in wide areas. There is a short video for about 3 minutes. So what I am going to do is I'm going to play this one through. Again, as ever, get your pens, get your papers out. I hope you're enjoying this. And if you're watching it on a recording, again, drop us some comments in the community and drop us a post in there. So we're just going to showcase our final session at Fulham today. So we've been at Fulham in the Premier League today. So we've currently got a 5v5. So we've got 5 green players, 5 black players. So it doesn't matter. Again, with numbers, you could have 5 black, 4 green, whatever you've got within your session. Now you'll notice we've got a small goal off to the left. We've got a large goal in the middle, and then we've got another small goal off to the right. We've actually got the same setup on the opposite side. So we've got a goal in the middle, and we've got 2 small goals on the side. Now for this particular session, as you probably guessed it, we're working on wide play and channel play. So how this game works, if you can score a goal in either of the small goals off to the sides, you get 3 points. If you can score a goal in this middle goal, you'll get 1 point. So by adding these particular rules into the game, it actually encourages the players to attack the wide areas. So we'll see if these players can score. So, oh, post, that was close. But if they would have scored, they would have got 3 points. So the aim of this game, can we score in the wide goals? So we encourage them by giving them 3 points as a reward system. And if they score in the middle goal, they only get 1 goal. So the beauty of this is, and what we discovered in the Premier League is that we don't want to give the players any more information other than you get 3 points for scoring in the small goals and you get 1 point for scoring in the big goal. the kids and the players will work this game out themselves, that they're trying to get into the wide channels. They'll start to make decisions to get into spaces, into wide areas, and they will start to channel the ball. One of the big things that we discovered in the Premier League about 15, 16 years ago was that there was too many interventions. There was too much coaching going on within the games, and we were giving the players far too much information. So at the beginning of this session, we didn't record it, but we over-listened to what the coach was saying. And he basically gave them the parameters of the pitch. If the ball goes out on the sideline, it's a kick in. If you score in either of the small goals, off to the left or right, you get 3 points. And if you score in the middle goal, you get 1 point. And then he got the game straight under play straight away. So again, guys, less interventions, less coaching, and just set them up with the environment and let the girls and boys work it out for themselves. Now you'll see we've been going for about 7 or 8 minutes, and the coach has now pulled it in. And again, we spoke about this in one of the previous sessions at Fulham, is that we've now got a Q&A session going on for a couple of minutes where the coach, rather than giving all the information, is asking the players why we're trying to score 3 points in the side goals and why we only get 1 point for the middle. And he'll be driving out that information and the objectives from those players. Okay, hopefully you enjoyed that one. I'll go straight into my whiteboard session. And that one is sort of quite a self-explanatory one. But what I will do is I just want to cover off a couple of key points on this. So you'll see on the example that I give you here, guys. So we've just identified within the pitch, you've got 3 points for the wide areas and you got 1 point for the middle areas. So the things that we are trying to focus on within this game is getting them to score in the wide areas by giving them a increased point score of 3 points. Again, we want to limit instructions and coaching from the coach involved in this. So whether you're a parent volunteer coach or you are a paid coach, literally just, it's all about, and we spoke about this on all the other videos, it's more important on how you set up the environment. Now, we get a lot of coaches on this platform who are volunteer coaches and parent coaches. What a great thing if you know when you get up to training, you can just set up the pitch, call them all in and say to your playing group, okay, this is what we're working on today. I need 2 teams. I need some teams in black bibs, some teams in yellow. And this is the rule. If you're scoring the wide goals, blacks, you're shooting this way. Yellows, you're shooting that way. Okay. It's 1 point if you scored in the middle. 3 points if you scored in the side. I'm going to be on the sideline here. I'm going to have all the balls, and this is what I want you to do. Every time a ball goes out of play, there's no throw-ins, there's no corners. Call me for the ball, and whoever calls me for the ball first, I will feed the ball in, and if it's a black player, they'll get the ball. If it's one of the yellow players, they'll get the ball, and the game revolves. This way, it's so simple. 3 points wide, 1 point in the middle. I'm your coach. I'm going to feed you the balls. Every time it goes out of play, ask me for the ball. This way, you can go 3 to 5 minutes of non-stop play. They're going to come in, they're going to be tired, but within that 3 to 5 minutes, I guarantee what you're going to start to see is wide area play. Now, what you'll find is as well, if you ask the right questions when the players come in to speak with you, okay, you will get the answers you're looking for. And what you'll find is your team will start to communicate with each other. Now, even if you're coaching 7 and 8 year olds, you'd be amazed at the information they have. You forget they're playing FIFA, they're watching Premier League highlights every weekend. These know more than we know, trust me. So one of the questions that you might ask is, are we getting the ball into wide areas and point at one of the players and ask that particular player, are we getting the ball into wide areas? And if the answer's no, then it might be because this is what happens, especially with the younger age groups. You get a lot of players all want to play in the wide areas because all of a sudden they want to be the goal scorers, they want to score the 3 points. So then what you can do is you can literally walk, let's say the yellow team, you can say to the team in the black bibs, okay, you guys stay there. Yellows, come with me. I'm going to nominate Tommy as my captain. Tommy, you position your yellow team where you think they should be for this game. Put them in positions. And within 30 seconds, they'll put themselves in the right positions. And you go, okay, this is the position you're now playing. Then do the same with the team in the black bibs. Nominate a captain. And you'll be amazed. You'll be amazed at how quickly they work this out. Also, this is one thing to watch out for. If you've got a group of players and you're unsure of positions for some of them, but if you notice a player all of a sudden wants to play in the middle a lot and starts to score a lot of 1 points, this for me will be your captain and your central midfielder, and I'll explain why. Because this particular player all of a sudden notices now these players all want to start playing out on the channels, and he starts to notice this. And this player has identified the space now in the middle of the pitch, because all of a sudden, like flocks of sheep, all, especially in a younger age group, you'll see a lot of the players will all just get super uber focused on going in the wide areas to get the 3 points, and they forget and neglect the middle of the park. So there's a bit of a trick in here that we're not necessarily interested in players scoring 3 points all the time. We're looking to see for things, and I'll give you an example of what we're looking for. A couple of things that we're looking for, and this is for the younger age groups and the older age groups. And I'll just very quickly, I'll just wipe all this out, and I'll give you a couple of examples of what we are looking to see. Now this must be a given for the older age groups and your more advanced players. But let's imagine this is the sideline of this particular game. These are the channels. If we've got our player who's in the wide channel here, let's say we've got the player in the black bib, okay, and they're shooting in this direction, we want to make sure that before they receive the ball, they have got what we call 180 vision, okay, and that means they're on the sideline and they're looking out this way. So in their line of sight, they can see there, they can see there, and they can see all of there, okay? That's one of the givens that we're looking for those wide players. So before they receive the ball, have they got that vision to see all of the pitch? If not, you need to correct their body position. What happens is, especially with the younger age groups, they get so focused, and because they're so forward facing, if this particular player is shooting in this direction, you find that they've got the back turn to goal. So if this is their goals here, and they're trying to attack into these goals here, they're always looking forwards, and their vision, their line of vision tends to be this, because they're only looking forwards and they've got the back to goal. This is one of the big things we want to get rid of in the game, because we want our players in the wide areas to see the whole of the pitch, and we want them to understand, are they about to receive the ball into feet? Well, if they are about to receive it into feet, and if they've got that vision where they can see all of this, that's no problem. Or are they about to receive the ball into space? Now, how do they know if they're going to receive it into space? Well, if they're looking down this channel and they realise they've got all of this space in here to attack, so I'll show you what I mean, but let's imagine all of this space is free. They know when their teammates got the ball here, we want this ball played into space, okay? And again, it can be done with hand. Sorry guys, because if I could spell hand properly. Hand or visual signals. And who are they given there? The visual signals to? They're given the visual signals to this player. And the visual signal they'll give them is they might show them if they're playing on this side of the pitch, they're showing them the left arm pointing up the wide area, basically saying, I don't want it to feet, I want it up in front of me into space, go. And because they've got the ability to see all of the pitch, they can ask for this. Now, in this same instance, that hand and visual might be, they point down to the feet, which means it's telling the teammates they want the ball into the feet because they know they've got a yellow player there and a yellow player there, and they don't necessarily want it into space. They want it into feet, and then they're going to try and do a little bit of a drive and a dribble to take a player on. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a great example of attacking in wide areas for any age groups, whether you're 8s and 9s and 10s or all the way up to the elder age groups. Again, as ever, if you want any help with these sessions, all you need to do is drop us a post in the school community, and I'd be more than happy to help you with that. If you don't know how to do that, when you register into school, you'll notice we've got write something here. You can literally just put in my name, so just do @RaymondsWood, it'll pull me up. Help with wide areas, okay, and then you can actually say it was the Fulham session, and then you can give it a title, and then you hit post, and then what that will do, it will drop it in to our little section here, and because you've added my name, I will get notification that you've dropped a question in for me. So hopefully you enjoyed that little session from Fulham Football Club and wide areas, and we look forward to seeing you on our next session. Okay everyone, we hope you enjoyed that live coaching call. I didn't actually think we were going to get through 3 today, but I'm so glad we did. We've got so much stuff to take you through on the school platform. As most of you are aware, there's hundreds upon hundreds of sessions in there. And what we're trying to do with these whiteboard sessions is to really simplify it and make it super easy for you boys and girls, for you volunteer coaches, parent coaches, paid coaches, technical directors. We want to help you as much as possible so you can get the maximum out of this amazing platform. Whatever you're up to across the weekend, I hope you're all well, and we look forward to seeing you on our next live coaching call, which is going to be coming up on Tuesday, I believe. And then don't forget, we've got our podcast Sunday if you are in Australia, New Zealand, and it's actually, if you're in the US and Europe, it is our podcast Saturday evening. So we look forward to seeing you on our next live coaching call, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend.
You don't bunch up, you don't get sweaty. Simple as that.
One of the things I noticed about my Goats Grip socks is the grip runs across the whole panel, so there's no bunching or sliding in your boots.
These grip pads will help you not slip when you're going in for a tackle.
My old socks will get sweaty halfway through the game. Not with Goats Grip, they stay cool and dry.